Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. We're checking out one called the Kona Ecoco, which really stood out to me. I saw it at the shop the other day. I was over at City Cycles in Langley. They have a bunch of different brands, and including Kona, which they've been around since the 1980s. They really started getting into e-bikes around 2010. So to me, that's kind of early days. And when I saw this bike, I knew my girlfriend would love it, and she did. I sent her a picture, and she's like, wow, that's really cute. You know, it's beautiful. The way it's set up, it's got this kind of mixedy mid-step frame, so it's very approachable. Nice swept-back handlebars, these sort of brown sidewalls on the tires, and the tires are really fancy here. These are 47C, a little bit wider. The effective diameter of them is more like a 700C wheel, which means you get a low attack angle and it's fairly efficient and it feels stable. At the same time, by having the rim be a little bit smaller and the tire fatter, you get a little bit more stability and comfort. And I am out here riding around on this gravel path, just enjoying the beautiful views and nature today, and it's doing pretty well. It's not perfect. These fenders are kind of plasticky, and you can see that the support struts right here, they're the kind that they're adjustable, but they poke out a little bit, and if these rubber caps fall off, you can end up kind of scratching yourself. I prefer the ones that wrap around, that's just a one piece of metal that goes all the way around. They're not as adjustable, but they don't get out of adjustment as easily. I love that this bike has mounting points up front for kind of like a rack mount, maybe some sort of side mounts for panniers. This bike isn't really set up for touring or, you know, lots of cargo, but it's nice that you have that option. You can see that down here they've got those additional mounting points for the fender. So it's like, okay, this is set up pretty well. We got the light mounted right there to the top of the fork, and it points where you steer, which is really nice. It's even got kind of an on-off switch right on it. I'll show you how to activate the light later using the display panel, but to me, that's nice. You know, this is not a suspension fork. You don't get quite as much comfort that way, but the bike only weighs 43 pounds, which is great for an electric bike. Part of that's because it's using the Shimano drive system. It's like 6.3 pound motor down there. It's got a standard bottom bracket width, like 168 millimeters, Hollowtech 2 spindle, which is really cool. A little bit stiffer, kind of a fancier piece of hardware. I'm not used to seeing that on just kind of a cruiser, you know, neighborhood type of bike, but nice to have, like a little bit of an upgrade. This is budded aluminum, hydroformed, and the way they've set it up, I guess not all of it's hydroformed. These are just standard tubes, but budded means it's a little bit thicker where it's welded and in the parts where it needs to be really strong, and then it's a little bit thinner thickness of the aluminum in other parts to be lightweight. And you can see the holes right here. I think that's so that water can kind of evaporate from the bike. So again, 43 pounds, and then the battery, I think that's just 5.8 pounds. So you could take that off, reduce the weight even more if you're moving this using a car rack, which I did to get it over here today. So for me, this is pretty cool. My car rack actually worked pretty well. It sort of clamped in front of this fender, and since the fender is somewhat flexible, it didn't cause a problem, and it's not so far forward that my rack, it felt really secure is what I'm trying to say. Love that they got the mud flaps down here, because sometimes if you're pedaling and you're turning at the same time, you can kick that and you don't want to crack the plastic. So aside from some vibration noise because of the plastic, and then the way that they've, you know, used these adjustable, but they're just not quite as nice looking. And again, it would have been nice if those were black. Look at the black spokes, the rims, everything is black. We got the chainring up here, lots of really beautiful, just little upgrades. Even the stamps that they've used up here, 60 millimeter, 6-degree rise on that stem, some nice labeling and branding. I really think these Kona bikes are beautiful. This is a gloss black frame with some silver accents for their branding. They got the little shield up there. This bike comes in 3 frame sizes, which is also really nice. So I was talking about how approachable it is before, but it's also going to feel comfortable. You're not going to be squished if you're someone who's a little bit taller. And on the other hand, if you're someone who's a little bit more petite, the bike's going to be approachable and the reach isn't going to be quite so far because they have the small, medium, and large. I'm on a medium, which is maybe a little bit small for me, but that's what the shop had, so I went with it. In addition to the headlight, we have an integrated rear light back here, which is pretty nice, and it's got a lot of visibility, kind of open on the sides as well as towards the back. Same thing with the front. You can see how there's a little bit of a cutout, so it shines to the side, gives you a little bit more visual footprint because this is a black bike, so it's nice to have those lights. And then check out the tires again. Not only do they have puncture resistant sidewalls, but they also have a reflective stripe on them. So that's really nice. These are just gonna hold up a little bit better if you do encounter some thorns and stuff. Maybe not perfectly, but better than nothing. These are, to me, they look beautiful and they're very functional, they're comfortable. For a bike that doesn't have suspension and that you might be riding further on because of the electric assist, it's nice to have these things. The bike isn't super cheap. I think it's $28.99 USD, maybe $35.99 Canadian. And they also have another version of this bike. This is just the standard Ecoco with the external Shimano battery. Well, they have another one, I think it's like the DL, and it has an internally mounted battery. Same battery capacity, but just a nice aesthetic, a little bit more integrated, kind of stealthy if you want that. And it has a 10-speed drivetrain instead of 9. So we'll get up to those gears in just a second. Back down here, just looking at the bike, I love that it has quick release front and rear. So I was talking about, you know, what if you do get a flat tire? Well, you can easily take those wheels off. Same thing, you know, take the battery off, take the wheels off. You can stow this thing a little bit more easily, reduce the length of it if you need to park it inside, or maybe just fit it into the trunk of your car. I always like to see that. There's those black spokes again. Really beautiful, 14 gauge. Gives you a little bit of flexibility. I think these are 32 hole rims as well versus 36. So just lightweight, minimal, efficient comfort. That's what they're really going for here. And in my case, I'm someone with a sensitive back and neck, so I'm always like, how can I make it even more comfortable? Well, we have this beautiful saddle here. It's actually a Velo saddle, but it's Kona branded, right along with the rest of the bike. It really looks nice. It's connected to this rigid 27.2 millimeter rigid seat post, 350 millimeters long. I was surprised when I was on their website. I'm looking at all the specs, I'm reading through, and I'm comparing it to the actual bike, and the website said 31.6 millimeters. So I would double check that. It wasn't stamped on the side of the post. I actually had to use digital calipers to get this. To me, that's important, because if I was getting this bike and I'm just trusting the website and then I order a suspension seat post to give me that comfort, if I order the wrong size, well, bummer. You know, you can't even use a shim. You'd end up with a 31.6, and this is smaller. It's 27.2. So that's been my observation with this particular model. I would double check that. And frankly, there were a couple things on the Kona website that just weren't quite there. It seemed like there was a little bit of a difference between what I'm seeing and what they had. I'm trying to go as deep as possible so you guys get all the correct information, at least what I'm seeing. Coming back here to the seat stays, we've got some more mounting points here, so you could add a rear rack if you want. There's another one. So really good setup on this bike. There's lots of potential. Got the slap guard down here, nice big resin or plastic pedals with little knobs built in so you're not going to slip off. Nice plastic chainring guard too, so that the chain might not fall off, or if you're wearing pants like me, you're not going to get snagged. One thing I did not see is bottle cage bosses, because of this almost kind of a retro or classic top tube design, double tube. You might have been able to have a bottle cage mount there, but they just didn't go for it. Sometimes that limits how low you can mount that seat post before you hit those bosses. And since this is a smaller frame, that would be good for petite riders. Maybe they just skipped it. So you could do the rear rack thing. Maybe you could do a handlebar mount cup holder or something, but that crosses my mind, because you know, you want to stay hydrated while you're out there riding. This rear light, it's nice that it's not going to get blocked by your jacket or a rack. It's going to be compatible with the rack. So all in all, pretty good job. This is an 11 to 34 tooth freewheel. Really nice. 9 speeds, Shimano Alivio, long cage derailleur. Excellent. Excellent. And then black with the cogs there. That's nice too. They aren't always black like that. Sometimes they're silver. And then we've got just a standard steel chainring up front. It is not narrow wide or anything, just kind of standard. But back here, they do have that slap guard, just a sticker so that you're not going to nick up the black paint. 170 millimeter standard crank arms, except for the Holotech. That's a nice little upgrade. So if you look at the bike, a lot of that weight, 6.3 pound motor, and then, you know, 5.8 pound battery pack. It's all right there, low and center, and that's going to reduce frame flex. It frees up the bike for, you know, the racks and things that we talked about. I really feel like they've done a great job, and this bike is kind of special, just the way that it looks. The swept back handlebars, these are non-locking grips, so they're a little bit more basic, but they are Kona branded and they work fine. They look good, they work fine. They've even got a little rotary bell right here, so it's a friendly chime. And then the hydraulic disc brakes, this is a highlight for me. Of course, you've got 2 finger levers, because that's all it really takes, just a couple fingers to stop this bike pretty efficiently. And there is adjustable reach in here, so there's a little set screw and you can bring those levers in or out. You know, brakes are always important, especially with e-bikes that tend to go a little faster or, you know, add some weight. And the thing about it is they've used 160 millimeter rotors, dual piston calipers. This is all very standard, but the fact that it's Shimano stuff kind of matches the drivetrain and the motor. Shimano all around, pretty cool setup that way. And it's nice that you're not going to have to use extra hand effort, or you're not going to get the cable settling that you get on mechanical disc brakes. That's part of what you're paying for with that higher price point on this bike. Plus, they give you a lifetime warranty on the frame, and then I think you've got like 2-year comprehensive on everything else. And of course, with Shimano, you're getting some good support and just the name brand. I want to call it the kickstand while we're back here as well. Really nice, long, it stays out of the way, so you're not going to get pedal lock if you're backing this bike out of a garage. You'll notice that this does spin backwards pretty quickly. Some of the other e-bike systems like Bosch in recent years, they've actually allowed the chain ring to cycle backwards when you pedal it backwards, which could help with drivetrain maintenance. And then just having a little bit of friction so that if you accidentally slip off and it spins around and it comes and hits your shin, that just doesn't feel very good. So, you know, be careful. These are little things that I think about occasionally while I'm out riding, and something happens to me, I get to experience that firsthand. And then we've got the trigger shifters up here. We've got a 3-step low and then a 1-way high. This is an area where I'd love to see if they had the 2-way triggers so you could use your thumb for both, because I'm often using my pointer finger and middle finger to brake, and so I like to just use my thumb, but in this case you have to use your pointer to get to those higher gears. But it's still a very good drivetrain. You can see back here there's a little magnet on the spoke, there's a sensor, and then we've got the motor itself. This is the Shimano E6100 motor, lightweight, compact, and fairly dynamic. It's measuring your pedal speed, your pedal torque, and then your rear wheel speed. So it's kind of giving you cadence and torque sensing all combined to feel really natural. And it's very quiet, it's efficient. That's what you're getting from this motor. Without the shift detection, you can put this in a high level of assist, crank it, and then, you know, put some extra strain and wear on the drivetrain. They are using a nice rust-resistant KMC chain here, so, you know, all in all, the drivetrain's going to be pretty good. Just keep in mind, you do want to ease off a little bit while you're shifting gears and still, you know, operate the bike thoughtfully and carefully, because you do have up to 60 Newton meters of torque on this thing. It's rated between 250 watt nominal to 500 watt peak. This is really your neighborhood, you know, commuting, cruising kind of motor, and I think it's really well suited to this bike. The battery pack itself is 36 volt, 14 amp hours, so 504 watt hours of capacity, and they give you the little, you know, kind of cute small Shimano charger here that's lightweight but not as fast as some of their other ones. I'm always complaining about some of the other big Shimano chargers. They're really long, and then you can't take off the wall side, and so they stick out a little bit more. I purposely unplugged this so you could see that this charger's new, it's nicer. Maybe they've been listening to some of the feedback, and for a bike like this, you know, 1.8 amps is what it puts out versus 2 amps on almost every other charger I've seen, basic chargers. And then a lot of the high capacity e-bikes, they have 4 amp chargers, so it charges faster. So this is going to be a 6 to 7 hour full charge if you let the battery go all the way down. I want to call out that, you know, you can see the snow-capped mountains in the distance there. It is cold out today. I got my gloves on and stuff. Cold weather, it kind of stunts the battery a little bit. So, you know, it gets kind of cold and you end up with, like, you know, maybe half the range if it's really cold out. So keep that in mind. A lot of people will store their battery inside like a laundry room or garage or something that's just a little bit warmer so that they're going to get that range. You can charge this daily. Ideally, if you aren't going to use the bike for a while, you want to keep the battery between 20 and 80% capacity. If you let it get all the way down, that's not really very good for it. Kind of damage the chemistry over time. And if you're always charging it like top and leaving it on the charger, that's not great either, although these systems are designed to sort of recognize they're plugged in and full and then kind of back off. I actually charged it before this ride, and these lights here were green while I was charging it, just like they are now. and then after it was fully charged, it kind of went off. So you're getting smart systems and stuff. The really kind of dangerous thing to do, or you know, the most damaging thing you can do, is put that in a really hot location. So extreme heat damages the chemistry, and you're just not going to get as many full charge cycles, which is a bummer. One thing that I like about this design, even though it's external like this, is that the bike is black, all the stuff blends in nicely together, and being external like this, that's going to be a less expensive and easier to find replacement someday. So in 5 years, if you're not getting the same range that you used to, you want to replace it, that's just a standard battery versus the in-tube ones, the really fancy stuff. I haven't looked at Shimano's in-tube battery yet, but they just tend to cost more and be more difficult to get on and off the bike. I do want to complain about the way that that's set up though for a second. Normally, see how the kickstand's on the left side of the bike? This is the drivetrain side, okay? This is the sensitive side. You never want the bike to tip this way. You always want it to kind of tip that way. So ideally, this is also where you'd have the key, the charging port, and everything, but it's not. It's on the other side. So you kind of got to go over to this side. And, you know, not only is this the side that could end up on the ground, but it's also, it's leaning towards me. So now I'm kind of working against the bike, and the handlebars tipping in my face and stuff. So there's the charging port. It's low versus being up high. There's the key port. It's in an okay position. I don't want to complain too much. They've used ABUS keys, but they aren't the really fancy ABUS keys that give you the key to like code, which means that there's like a code that you can buy other locks and stuff with the same exact key, and then you're not dealing with multiple keys for everything, like which key for my bike, which key for my lock. I really like that program from ABUS, but Kona went with the cheaper one here. This is just the ABUS and Paro basic key. So if we unlock the battery, I'm actually gonna power the bike down real quick for safety here. If we unlock the battery and then slide this off to the side like this carefully, there we go. This is what the battery looks like. I love that it can easily be charged on the bike or off the bike. Some of the older Shimano batteries required like a dongle thing, and so I feel like they've come a long way. There are no USB ports or anything fancy like that on this bike, which is kind of a bummer because, you know, if you're using your phone for GPS or adding another light or something fun, it's nice to tap into the e-bike battery, but that's just not the case here. I do think Shimano has like an E-Tube app. I downloaded it. I tried to connect to this bike. It turns out that in order to make it connect, you need to try to pair within 15 seconds of turning the bike on, and I didn't get that done during the review. The app is available for iOS as well as Android. It lets you customize assist level between torque or efficiency. If you had electronic shifting with Di2, it would allow you to do some automatic shifting and adjustment that way, but that's not applicable to this bike. You can create a Shimano ID to track, I guess, all of your bikes or just your profile, and then there's firmware updates that can happen as well. I don't get the impression that this is an app you would necessarily use while you're riding so much as it is to interface with the drive system and customize things a bit. So the display is what we're going to go over next. I'm going to take out the keys here because I don't want to accidentally kick those while we're riding. And then I'm just going to make sure that that battery is secure so it doesn't fall off. Okay, so to activate this display, there's no power button up here on the button pad or on the display itself. I mean, there are buttons, but nothing happens. Okay, so you actually have to reach down and press it there. So this double top tube design, again, it's kind of neat here because you can get to that power button. But if you've already sat on the saddle, now you got to reach way forward or get off the bike. And so to me, I keep wondering, like, Shimano, why don't you have a power button on this ring? You know, and this is actually their nicer interface, in my opinion. I was recently looking at another one where they only had 2 buttons. So at least this one has this square, like, set button is what I'm calling it. So anyway, the bike boots up. We've got 5-bar battery infographic, assist level, which is off right now, and then current speed in kilometers per hour. If I want to change any of the readouts, I can press that box button, set button. So we go from current speed to distance, and that's like a trip distance. If you want to reset that, you can hold the box again for a second and it clears it, okay? So that's a little secret for you. We press the box again, we get odometer, And then range. Range is really cool. As I click the up or down buttons, it's going to dynamically estimate my range based on the current level of battery and how I've been riding. So I'm going to do it real quick here. It says, okay, 183 kilometers at the lowest level of assist eco. That's awesome. We go all the way up to high with the highest power. Now it says 91 kilometers worth of range. So, you know, I told you this bike is really efficient. The way the motor's set up and everything. With a full battery, you can go quite far. Okay, so now I'm gonna press that box again. Set, we go to, it's like a timer, trip timer, average speed, max speed. Cadence. Cadence is really cool. Apparently this mid-drive can support up to like 130 RPM, which is fantastic. So RPM, what I mean is how fast you're pedaling. A lot of people just kind of pedaling slow and relaxed. But I found that when I'm about to go up a big hill, I shift down and I pick up my cadence so that my knees won't ache, and also just to give myself a mechanical advantage. But if I do that and the motor can't keep up, well, then the bike slows down and I shift down, and then a bike slows down and I shift down, and it's just it's kind of a bummer. Some of the older or more basic motors, they didn't offer that super high cadence support, and Shimano does, and it's awesome. So you can see your own pedal cadence right here, and rest assured the motor's going to be able to keep up with you and give you lots of support. I love that. Let's do set one more time. So we have clock, and then there we are. We've gone all the way around. If you want to get into these other setting menus, you hold the box again. Just don't do it when you're on the trip distance, or it's just going to clear the trip distance. So let's hold the set button. We'll go into the menu so we can clear some settings, just set the clock. Light. Now this one's interesting. I'm also used to having like a dedicated light button sometimes, but for this bike, you have to go into the light menu here in the settings. So we have to press the box again, and then we're going to turn it on. Okay, good. Lights are on. And then I think they kind of stay on once you've set them like that. And remember, I was saying you can come down here and kind of manually turn off that front light just using that little physical ring. So it's an interesting setup that they've got here. 40 lux on that headlight, by the way. I wanted to show you guys those lights. It's kind of the end of my ride, so it's a little bit darker out. You can see from the side how it kind of reflects out a little bit. You know, not too bad. Aimable. It's a good setup. And there's those green lights down there. At least they're way down here and not up there where they could kind of shine in your face. And we go down to beep. You hear the beep we keep every time we click it? You can turn that off if you want, and that's nice because it could probably get annoying after a while. Units, we can switch those. So I might do that for fun. I'm going to switch to miles per hour, language, font color, so you can invert this thing. So instead of a black background, it could be a white background. I like to leave it black because that blends in. It's not as bright if you're riding at night. Might save a little bit of electricity too. Adjust, shift timing, rear derailleur, protection reset, display speed. Anyway, we're going to exit, and we're going to do the range estimate again, this time with miles. So at high, we get 56 miles, and at eco, we get 113. Just fantastic, just fantastic. So I think that's a really good little overview. While we're up here, I want to highlight these rubber band things. They also help to just keep your cables nice, keep everything quiet. Internal cable routing through the frame, totally purpose built. I'm gonna go ahead and stow this, and we're gonna go take a ride. Okay guys, we're gonna boot it up one more time. I turned it off in high and with the lights on, and now it goes down to off and the lights are still on. So once you've set that in the settings menu, thankfully you don't have to do it a whole bunch of times, but it's also nice that you can turn it off. Recently I was reading some comments in the forums, and people were like, how do I turn off my Specialized Vado SL lights? And you can't. You have to like put some tape over the light, which could cause a melting or something, or you have to like physically unplug the cable inside the bike frame. So I appreciate that Shimano gives you access to so many settings. It's just nice to have control. And you know, coming back to this cockpit, this is very much like a regular bike. It's like more power, less power, shift your gears. That's it. You know, the display is pretty small. It stays out of the way. It's not too distracting, but you got the beep to let you know. So you don't even have to look down to know that you've gone up in terms of assist level. Once you're at the top, it gives you 2 beeps, so you know, okay, I'm at the top. It's pretty nice that way. So here we go. I'm gonna take it off at high, and we are on a gravel path, so it's gonna be a little bit more noise, but I want you to hear those fenders and the motor. can definitely hear the motor at the higher RPM levels. It's not terrible. It's actually a little bit louder than I was expecting. My memory of this motor is that it tends to be very quiet. So I'm going to shift gears and pedal a little bit slower. Keep in mind we are in high. It's going to be the loudest it gets. Okay, just doing some no hands riding, just seeing how stable the bike is. Okay, there we go. A little bit slower cadence. Switch it up. Yeah, hardly notice it now that I'm going more of a natural, calm pedal speed. It's pretty quiet, and you know, I am getting pretty good power. I noticed that after I'm done pedaling, it takes a minute to sort of wind down. It's not like super instantaneous. This is not an e-mountain bike motor. It's more of a casual, efficient, smooth kind of a feel. And it works really well. It's really well suited to this bike. So I'm gonna pedal a little bit more for you. It's actually pretty quiet considering that we're going over gravel here, and I think that's, you know, back to the tires and stuff, giving us a little bit more air volume, a little bit of extra stability. It's really nice. It's a great bike for this kind of ride. It's nice that it's capable and it's got those puncture protected tires. These easy brakes. Kind of in an upright body position here. You're not having to lean really far forward, which could feel a little bit, you know, harder on your back or neck. This bike's set up to be upright, relaxed, easy to talk to your friends, easy to enjoy the views. Okay, I'm gonna take us down to the neighborhood and we're gonna get some concrete riding so you can see how quiet it is. Nice to have those fenders and with the mud puddles. Cute little bike path over here. Listen to how smooth and quiet it is. We're just about at our top speed. We got to 19.8 miles per hour. This is a class 1 electric bike. It's the most allowable type of e-bike, meaning you can go on most like dirt trails, even mountain biking trails if you really wanted to get crazy with this. So, okay guys, from here you can almost see that 38 tooth steel chainring up front, again with the nice plastic guard, so I'm not gonna get my pants dirty and the chain's not gonna fall off as easily. I'm gonna ride around in the highest level of assist so you can see how quickly it goes and just what it sounds like with full power. I'm gonna shift through the gears a little bit. I'm gonna ride off-road so you can hear the fenders, you know, bouncing around a little bit, what that's gonna sound like. And yeah, let's go for it. It's working great. You know, the fender was, especially the rear fender, was a little bit noisy when we were on the off-road section. It looks like it's tightened down. There's just a washer down there, and it's meant to have some movement, I guess, but it's not like the bolt is loose or anything like that. Yeah, definitely hear that whining noise a little bit more in the higher levels of pedal rate at the higher speeds, but not too bad. I'm going to try using it in Eco this time, just see how that sounds. So this is a lot less power, the most energy efficient for good range, but just, you know, it's going to be more me working. Still pretty satisfying. I find myself comparing this to like the Bosch Active Line Plus motor. It's definitely a step up from like the Bosch Active Line motor. And I'm comparing that this way because I review them very frequently. So to me, this is like Active Line Plus, maybe even Performance Line level in the highest level of assist here. It's a pretty good setup. This time I'm gonna try to outpace it. Let's see. I'm gonna go to my pedal cadence menu. Here we go, and I'll let you guys know what's going on. I'm going to the highest level of assist. See if it can keep up. That was me at 140. I got all the way up to like 135, 140, and the motor was still going. It probably wasn't helping me a whole lot, but at least it didn't like cut out. That's pretty cool. That's really it. I think we've gone through pretty much everything on this bike. I've had a good time. It's nice to see something so beautiful like this done so well. I really don't have too many complaints. If you have the money and you're looking for this type of a setup, relaxed, approachable, I think Shimano's done a really good job with the drive system. And I think Kona's done something really special with the bike. Again, 3 sizes. For the full written review on this, including all the measurements and width and length and just everything that I've done by hand, go back to ElectricBikeReview.com. You can just do a search there. You can also check out the forums. I have a section for Kona, so you can get other people's opinion, people who actually own the bike. They aren't just covering it for a couple days. I love you guys. I do my best with these reviews. I'll have more coming out in the future. I hope you have fun, ride safe. We'll see you outside.